Okay, welcome to the Build a Body workshop. Today we are talking about snacking. Snacking is one of those things that is always coming up with clients saying that they have issues with evening snacking in front of the sofa, snacking through the day. So this video is about how to take some, I should say, practical steps to help you accommodate snacking into your day. So what I'm going to do is just share my screen. I've got some slides we can look at while I'm doing. Just say hello to everybody. Say hello, everybody.
Hello.
Right, I'm just going to share my screen, and what I'm going to do is just put everybody on mute so that the screen doesn't go back and forward. So I'll unmute at the end for the Q&A. All right, let's just hopefully that is coming up. Cool. Right, I'm just going to see if I can mute people. Let's do 6. Okay, so I'll just mute everybody so that it doesn't fly back and forth on the recording. Okay, so let's move that out of the way. Oh, give me a second. Bit of an issue there. Right, get over there. Right, cool. Okay, so what we're talking about today is snacking, how to stop snacking ruining your diet, and a few tactics and strategies for success. So where we are today, we're in Build, there's 3 elements. There's mindless eating, pointless workouts, and difficult to stay on plan. Those are the 3 problems most people face. And so we have smarter eating, productive workouts, and easy to stay on plan, which are the things that we try to reach, to try and get to. And where we are today is over in the smarter eating section. Let's do that again. In the smarter eating section, and we're talking about on-plan nutrition, which is everything you plan to eat, but also slightly we're going to delve into off-plan nutrition. So this is when and snacking is normally off-plan nutrition for a lot of people. So we're going to go into that. There'll also be an element of managing influences here, because we're trying to stay on plan by stopping loads and loads of snacking. Okay. So there's a couple of frustrations, problems that people face, things that, why does that happen? And the first is people generally tend to overeat or snack in the evening. They come home from work, put the kids to bed, crash on the sofa, put Netflix on, and then it's time to have a little bit of a snack. And that is where most people come undone. So we're going to focus most of the attention on that today. The other thing is that they can't seem to stop themselves snacking. They get annoyed at themselves because they don't want to overeat. They don't want to eat loads of food because obviously they're trying to do some sort of diet plan. But they sort of blame this on a lack of willpower. They believe they're not strong enough to stop themselves overeating. And here's the other thing, that people generally tend to do okay all day on a diet. They tend to have their meals set out and all their stuff like this. They go to work, they go to the gym, have all their planned meals set out, do really well. And when they get home, that's the time when it all unravels. So there's another frustration of why can I get all my diet done all the way through the day? Why am I good all day and then I mess it up in the evening? Why does that happen? So what people want is to stop the snacking ruining all their hard work. Also, be able to control how much you eat, because most people, when they snack, just mindlessly eat and just keep on eating. And then they look at what they've eaten and go, oh, what a night. Why did I eat all that? I wasn't even hungry. Why does that happen? And also, people want to understand why they snack. And now, the reason why we want to understand why we snack is so that we can then address the issues surrounding that and put some let's say put some tactics and strategies in place to make sure we don't overeat. And they want to know why they make bad choices, because we don't make bad choices. We don't sit down with a massive bag of Haribos and say, right, I am going to absolutely mess up my diet tonight. Normally we have a handful of stuff and stuff, I'm going to have a little bit, and then it turns into something bad. So we want to understand why we make those bad choices. A few mistakes that I see people make with this, why they overeat on snacking, is that first of all, they rely on their willpower. So they rely on, right, I'm not going to eat that. I'm going to be good tonight. And then they come home, sit on the sofa, and then they snack in. And afterwards they're like, why did that happen? My willpower, I'm not strong enough for my willpower. The other thing people do is they eat straight from the packet, and we're going to sort of go into this a little bit later on. But what they do is they generally tend to have a massive bag of Doritos or Pringles or Haribos or biscuits or something like that, box of milk tray, and you just sit down with it, and all of a sudden it's all gone, and you're like, what? I wasn't even hungry. Why did I eat all those things? Why did I keep on eating? So we're going to talk about that as well. And the other mistake that I see people make is they don't allocate snacks to their daily calories. Now, what I mean by this is that although you might have like snacks put out in your diet, what you don't allocate is the evening snacking, the time when it really comes undone. And so what happens is you have all your nice food through the day, and you come to the end of the day and you haven't got anything left to eat. So then you're like, oh, I'm really hungry and I want something to eat, but I haven't got anything left. I haven't got anything left for snacking. So not allocating a certain amount of snacks to the evening, that's a major mistake that people make, because they think they're going to be good and they're not going to diet and not going to cheat on their diet. And of course they do. And that's what unravels them. And then they feel guilty. And then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Then they go and eat more because they're annoyed. So these are the things that happen, the mistakes they make. Okay. So what I want to get you thinking about today is about not building a dam, as in we're going to have willpower to resist the flow and really be strong. What we want to do instead is control that flow. So we're always going to have these cravings and these, let's say wants, desires to eat. But we don't want to stand in the way of that, because you're only fighting yourself. You're only making a barrier for yourself, and in a battle with yourself, you're always going to lose. So we want to control that flow rather than stand against it. We want to work with our brains rather than work against it. Okay. What I wanted to think about is, and people who work with me, if you've read my book, which is somewhere here. So if you've read my book, and if you haven't got my book, go and buy it. It's awesome. It's on Amazon, $13.99, I think. And in there's something called the Lean Matrix, which is on the screen here. Now, the Lean Matrix is a way that I help clients to classify their food. Now, the way it works is you've got along the bottom here, you've got food reward. That is the amount of pleasure that you get from eating a food. Now, just being over here doesn't mean you get no pleasure. This is only foods that you like, because my promise is get the body you want, eating foods you like. So, for example, sprouts would be over here. I hate sprouts. There's no way that's making it onto my Lean Matrix, because I don't like them. I'm not going to put them into my diet. So this is the stuff I don't like over here. So all this stuff, anything I eat on this scale here, will be something I like, and I'll get some form of pleasure from it. Then along the top here, you've got impulse control. Now, impulse control is how well, it's essentially willpower, how well you can stop yourself if you eat these foods, how much control you have over stopping eating them. Now, and what we can do, we can plot all the foods that we eat onto one of these four areas. Now, you might have seen this graph before. If you haven't, I'm just going to run through it quickly. And this is an exercise I ask most of my clients to do, and whether or not they do it or not, I don't know, but it's something that they should do. And what we do as part of my system called the calorie system, we list all the foods. So we list all the foods here that we like or they like, and then once they've listed all those foods, they then put them into wherever it needs to go on this thing. Now, the reason why we do that is because what we want to know is that if a certain food comes into our radar, what's going to be the likely implication for that? And we see down here, no man's land, this is definitely where we don't want to be. No man's land is full of risk, because what we've got high food reward, but we've also got very low control over it. And this area generally tends to be where people have their snacking foods. Generally, that it falls into there. Low impact snacks are generally low calorie stuff that if you ate a whole load of it, probably wouldn't make an impact. You can see that we've got food reward here, like low food reward, so we're not going to binge on it, and we've also got low impulse control. So this would be something, let's say, for example, like if you're picking up a pack of blueberries, because it's not something people generally tend to binge on, but you would tend to like having it, but you could eat a lot of it and not make a massive impact. And then up here, we've got everyday foods. This is stuff you have really good control over, so you can stop yourself eating it whenever you like, and it's got low food reward. And that's part of the thing, is that yes, you like it, but it's not something you can binge on. You have good control over it. And then up at the top here is what I call acceptable cheats. I don't really like the term cheat meal. I don't really like that. However, it's what people understand, which is why I leave it in there. Now, acceptable cheats are things that you get high food reward, but also you have a good impulse control over it. So it's something which is a high calorie treat that you can eat, but it's not something that you're likely to binge on. Now, let's just put all this stuff into context. So low impact snacks for, say, me would be fruit. Everyday foods to me would be like a chili and rice, because that's what I just had before I come onto this call. Acceptable cheats would be Nando's. And no man's land for me would be like hobnobs, chocolate hobnobs. Now, Nando's, although it's high calorie, I wouldn't eat one and then immediately want another Nando's afterwards. Yeah. But hobnobs, I absolutely would eat one and want another one afterwards. So I've got to be careful about if I ever have hobnobs in my vicinity. Fruit, I can actually eat a lot of. It's something that I have a low control over because I do like fruit, but it's low impact because it's very low calorie. So I'm fine with eating a good amount of that. And then obviously chili and rice is the stuff that I have every day. Again, if I eat a big chili and rice, I don't want another chili and rice. It satisfies me. That's my daily food gone. So what we want to think about is mostly this area is where our snacks and overeating happens. And what we really want is to be in this area for our snacks. Acceptable cheats generally tend to be meals rather than like picking stuff, but it can be picking stuff as well. So for example, acceptable cheats like ginger nuts, I can have a couple of those and not want any. They're high calorie, but they're something that I wouldn't really binge on, for example. Okay, so it's important to remember that some of your foods will fit onto this. Now, after you've watched this video, or maybe pause the video if you're watching back, make a list of your foods and then just take a bit of time and put them into these 4 groups. So just draw a piece of paper, put them in, because that's going to help you understand some of the next bits we're going to go through. Okay, so what I want to take you through a process I call stacking the deck. Now, I do this with some clients depending on their needs. And what we're going to go through is 3 ways that you could potentially, let's say, stack the cards in your favor. Now, there's hopefully you understand that you need to have calories, a calorie deficit in order to lose weight. If you didn't, then you should know about that. So less calories in than you expend, and you lose body fat. So we've got maintenance here. This is our maintenance calories. And if we're eating here, and underneath that, we have a deficit. So if you're eating less calories than your maintenance, you will lose body fat over time. However, it doesn't always work like that, because some people generally tend to eat low and then eat high and then balance it all out. That's another story. So there's the first way in which you can sort of create this deficit is by just going on total calories. So we can have like a total calories here. So some diets will say, here's your total calories for the day. As long as you eat those total calories, you'll be in a deficit and you'll lose weight, which is great in principle. Yeah, we are in a deficit here. So that's going to be a weight loss scenario. Or they give you macros. So you can have macros. But macros is also total calories in the end, you know. But the key thing here, and this is where a lot of diets fall down, is that this is the not allocating calories for snacks mistake. So what we've done here, we've got our total calories or total macros for the day. And what happens is you get to the end of the day here. So this is, say, like 8 p.m. We've eaten all our calories and macros for the day. We're still hungry, but we thought we were going to be good and not have snacks in the evening because of willpower. And then actually what happens is we generally tend to go over here. And let's just get a nice color for that. So what generally happens is we snack And that's not even a good color. Come here. Let's just try that again. Oh, I have to wait for the iPad to catch up. It's having a bit of a moment. All right, there we are. So what happens is we go over the calories here. And that's the evening snacking. So we're not in a deficit anymore. And then you're annoyed because you've been good all day and now uncontrollably you've gone over. Now, the reason is because there's no buffer here. There's no safety net. All that's happened is, here's your calories you need to eat. Fine, I'll eat that. Then they go over with the snacking and then they into a surplus. Okay, so that's the typical sort of online guru diet plan that you get. Here's macros, here's calories. Make sure you eat to that calories or those macros and you'll be fine losing weight. But there's no buffer, there's no control measure. So what we can have instead, we can put in a control measure artificially. Now, obviously in this situation over here, we've got the total, total calories there. And then we've got macros here. So there's only this slight safety net here. We can go a little bit further with that and say, right, what we're going to do is these are our meals for the day, and we might have some like so no, let's just take that out. So we've got just meals for the day here, and then what we then do is we allocate snacks here. Now what we're doing here is giving ourselves a little bit of a buffer. So we're saying, well, this might be like breakfast, this might be lunch, and this might be tea. You might have like post-workout meal in there as well, and then you have snacks which you allocate calories for. So let's say this is 2,500 total for the day. We might have, okay, that's 2,000, and then we've got 500 here. So what we've then said is actually what we're trying to hit in the day is we're trying to hit 2,000 calories, which, okay, that's more of a deficit. But if we are hungry, we can have some snacks, and these snacks maybe 250 each. Now, the reason we do that is because we can go then, buffer one would be we have this meal and there, which would be 2,250. And then we're not hungry, so we don't have the other snack. Or if we are hungry, and we can continue having a bit more snacking in the evening, we go to that. And actually what we've done there is, okay, we have eaten to our calories, but by this time it's sort of 10 o'clock. So it's maybe time to go to bed. So we've given ourselves that extra buffer. And more importantly, we're still in our deficit here. So we've hit that target of our deficit by making sure we're allocating some snacks out into our evening snacking. And what we can do, so that's two buffers. So we've got one buffer here, which is basically just the deficit. And here we've got actually we've got 2 to 3 buffers, because we've got just the meals and one snack, and just the meal and that. So we've got between 2 or 3 buffers, and then we've got the deficit. Okay, so we can develop that even more by saying, right, what we're going to do, we're going to have meal one, let's say breakfast, and have lunch, tea. And then what we do is we divide our snacks into this even further. And obviously you could go as much as you want into this, but generally what I found working with clients is that 3 meals a day plus 2 sort of bigger snacks here, and then a couple of smaller snacks work really well. So then what we've got here, we've got all our meals there. Now, what we can do is we can allocate some of these smaller snacks for the day. So we might put this one, say, between breakfast and lunch. We might put this one in between lunch and tea. And then what we've got then is a fair amount of calories we can allocate into the evening if we want to. Now, okay, it does mean that we're eating less calories in the day. However, the benefit here is that what I found is that most people are very good at controlling themselves during the day when they're busy and they're working. Where they have the least control is when their mind is relaxing in the evening and they're tired from a day of working or playing with the kids or both. And then when they sit down, that's when their brain is less strong in order to resist this sort of snacking urge. Quick drink. So, I mean, how would this look? So say we've got our 2,500 calories. So this might here be, let's say, 1,800. These ones here let's say might be, actually that's 600 calories per meal. That's about right. Okay, so, and then we've got here, we've got about, let's say 300, and then these ones might be 200 each, which means that these little snacks here are only 75 calories. That's about like a banana, bit of fruit, something like that. It depends on what your calories for the day are. It might be that if your calories are quite low, say if you're like a very small petite woman, then your calories are going to be quite low. But then, you know, but by sort of the pro rata level of calories, you're going to have less calorie need for meals as well. So it should balance out. But yeah, some people will have more flexibility than others. But the key thing here is that you recognize that there is some room for snacking in the evening. Now, the key thing here is that some of these days, let's just edit this out for a second. So the key thing here to remember is that not every day you're going to need all these snacks. So it might be that when we come up to Monday, okay, we have all our meals and just one snack. Generally, because people are sort of more motivated on a Monday and they have more, they just come off the weekend, so they probably eat a little bit more on the weekend, which normally happens. Generally, they'd only have like the 3 meals and then 1 or maybe 2 snacks. So that bit might be Monday. And so what happens is that the Monday they have all this left over. These calories here don't get used, but what we can do is we can bank them for use on a later day. Now, let's say that's Monday, and then we come over to, so let's say that happens on Tuesdays as well. And then we come over to, say, Wednesday. Let's just go there. So we're coming over to Wednesday. Now we've had all our meals here, and we've had one of the big snacks and everything else. And we have a little bit more. We've only got a little bit saved, but that's still given us that plus our calorie deficit we set here anyway. The idea is that what we're saying to our body, or to our minds, I should say, is that yeah, that food is there if you want it, but you don't have to have it. Whereas when we're over here, we're saying that's your calories for the day. And generally people will eat to their calories for the day. And what I've also found is that people will essentially try to eat to their calories, because what happens in this situation here is that there's no provision for banking or anything like that. It's like, well, that's your calories for the day. If you don't eat all your calories, you've lost them. You know, there's no you can't get them back. Whereas in this situation, because we're breaking down our food in the day into blocks and allocating calories to those blocks, we can say, well, I haven't had my 2 small snacks today. That's say 200 calories. Okay, so now I know I've got 200 calories or two more snacks to have on, say, Friday night, something like that. And it makes the whole process a little bit easier to think of. Whereas here, you've just got a massive block of calories or macros, which you have to eat to. And I think in this situation here, the macro method of dieting is particularly tough, because especially someone who's quite new to using MyFitnessPal or anything like that is going to find it difficult, because they say, well, I've got this much protein, this much carbs, this much fats. They'll fit their meals into that. And then what you get at the end of the day is, oh, well, I've got 5 grams of protein, 10 grams of carbs, and 4 grams of fat. What sort of meal can I have for that? What sort of food can I have for that? When actually, well, why don't you just have something for 100 calories, which is a banana? Oh, it doesn't fit the macros. And that's where the conflict comes in. So it creates more stress. Here, we've got more control, because we can allocate, well, if we know that a banana is, say, 100 calories, about 80 calories, we can say, right, what, that one there, that's a banana. See if I can draw a banana without it looking like something else. So we have a banana there. And then here we might have like some blueberries. And then this bigger snack here, you might say, okay, well, that's half a grenade bar. That's my half a grenade bar. So we know that we can have that, and that's our bigger snack. Now, what happens here is when we start allocating all these snacks in here, we've then got, well, this is the amount of snacks I can have in a day if I want to. So say for me, this would be, let's have a look at that. So if I had a bigger snack, this would be, say, some Pringles and a beer. Now, I know that when I measure out my Pringles, because I always measure stuff out, and I have a low-calorie beer, that's about 250 calories, because I know I have it all the time, so I know roughly what it is. Here, this might be a Pastilles lolly. So like a fruit pastels lolly or a Lion's Made Fab, or it might be Nestle Fab now. They are really low calorie, about 100 calories. So I know that I can have, say, 2 of these lollies, and they'll fit in nicely into my lower snack items. And then I can have Pringles and beer, and that'd be one of my higher snack items. But I wouldn't have all of these in one day. It's very rare that I would sit down and have Pringles and beer, then a lolly, then this, then this, and this. What I'd be doing instead would be picking that one depending on how I felt. And I normally start with the lower calorie snacks. And if I was really wanting something else, I would potentially have this as well. Or I might go the other way depending on how hungry I am. Now, by doing it this way, we've got more control rather than looking at all the calories and all the calories over here and trying to then figure out what we've got left at the end of the day. Okay, let that sink in for a minute. So what we have here, this is an example of this one on the right here, this where we've got all these snacks. Oh, what's going on there? Let's just take that out. iPad's not playing ball. So this one here, this is what we're looking at in this diagram here. So this is an actual diet that I've done for a client just recently. Now what you'll see here, we've got the breakfast, we've got the beef chili for the lunch, spaghetti. But these are just example meals I gave him so that he would sort of have an idea about how many calories and what to eat. You can swap spaghetti bolognese out for like chicken and pasta, for example, or whatever you want. So he's got his 3 meals here. This post-workout is one of his bigger snacks because it's about 300 calories. This snacks here, berry with yogurt, that's a bigger calorie, that's a bigger snack as well. And then we've got some Snacker Jacks, some olives, and some nuts, which we would class as like the smaller snacks. Nuts, I probably wouldn't class as a small snack for anybody because the amount of nuts you get for the calories is really poor. But he did have a significant amount of calories which he could make up because he's quite active. So so this amount of nuts here, these calories, would be fine. He'd probably split those up. But seeing how we put the nuts right at the end, so it's the last snack he might go to, because really it's really easy to overeat on nuts. It's one of those things which are a potential sort of no man's land. So this way, we've got our 3 meals here. We've got a big snack there, a big snack there, and a couple of little snacks. These nuts is probably like times 2 snacks there. And that's how you would fit it into your day. Now, if you took the time and used something like MyFitnessPal or Chronometer or Libro, this is from Libro, my clients use, you could then potentially sort of make up this day in advance and know what you were going to be eating in the future. And this is what I do advise people to do, is that if you are just starting out, obviously with my clients, I give them this type of template if they want it, just for reference. I'm not a fan of giving out like directed templates of you must eat this, but this is an example of what they could eat. And what they can do, see if they want, look at the snacks here. So we've got crisps here. So there's 2 packs of Snacker Jacks because they're quite low calories. He's got about 200 calories there. If he didn't want Snacker Jacks and he wanted something else, he could very easily just go and swap that out for something which is other 200 calories really, really easily. So hope that is clear. Hope that's easy to understand. If you're watching back on this presentation, feel free to drop me a question or a comment if there's anything that you didn't understand from that. Okay, so a couple of things to remember. We want to build your diet around your lifestyle. So this guy here, we built his diet around his lifestyle. He likes eating nuts. He likes eating olives. He likes eating a decent sized breakfast. So we built the diet around that. This won't work for everybody. It'll work for this guy. So you need to find what works for you. Identify your trigger foods. So remember, we went back to that lean matrix. Make sure you write down all the foods that you like to eat on a regular basis, and allocate them into, and be honest, if something really triggers you, make sure you stick it in no man's land. Doesn't mean you can't have it. It just means you have to be a bit more careful with when you eat it. So identify your trigger foods. use control snacking methods. Now, I haven't touched on this in this video, but I have talked about things like break cues in previous videos. Break cues is basically where we talked about the mistake of eating out of the packet right at the beginning. What you do with break cues is you get a small bowl and you put the snack that you want to have into that bowl. So I always, if I eat Pringles, I'll always put the Pringles into a bowl and eat from the bowl. The reason I do this is because Pringles are a massive tub, and I could very easily go through that whole tub, because if I'm watching TV, it's just, oh, one Pringle, and you just keep on going until there's no Pringles. You're like, have I eaten all that packet? It didn't even seem like a lot. And that's the mindless eating thing that comes in. There was there's a study that done a little while ago, and it was, I think it was by Brian Wansonick. Now, he's got a book called Mindless Eating. I might even, don't have it, but it's on my bookshelf behind me. He's got a book called Mindless Eating where he discusses all these studies he did. And what they did with the Pringle study was they put a red Pringle either midway or at the top quarter or the bottom quarter of the pack. And they said to the people who were in the study, just eat, and when you get to the red Pringle, you can stop if you want. That's your signal to stop, but you don't have to. Now, what they found is wherever the red Pringle was, as soon as they got to that, they stopped, or just after, because that was their cue, that was their break cue to stop eating. We can do this ourselves by having a bowl. When you get to the end of the bowl and there's nothing left in it, that's your break cue, that's your signal to stop eating. Now, you actually have to physically stop, because obviously you haven't got the any more crisps, but then you've got to make a logical decision to get up and go and get more crisps. And in that point, you're probably not going to be what's called hedonically hungry, which is the hunger you get from thinking about a food that you like. If you've had a load of crisps already, you're probably going to think, oh, do you know what? I could do without any crisps. You don't have to get up and get any more. But that's the signal, the break cue. So always make sure you're putting your snacks into a bowl or plate or something like that, so that you don't just sit there and eat the whole packet. Big red flag, don't go shopping when you're hungry, because you just end up coming back with a whole load of snacks, and then you'll feel guilty about buying that, but then you've got to eat them because you bought them. So don't go shopping hungry. Honestly, I do all my shopping online in Asda, because it's so much better. You know, just go online, click. Yeah, I'll have all that stuff. But again, don't do that when you're hungry either. I generally have my evening meal and then I'll go online to Asda and get the online shop, so I don't buy stuff that I don't want. And obviously, if it's not in the house, you can't eat it. Right, so the actions, what I'd like, if you're watching this video, to go away and do. First of all, go and make more low-impact snacks more accessible. Now, what I mean by that is that when you walk to your cupboard or your fridge or wherever your snacks are kept, when you open the fridge, make sure it's at eye level. The snacks you want to eat at eye level. The snacks that maybe are the higher calorie stuff, make them a little bit harder to find. Same in the cupboard. Make sure you open your cupboard, things like the high calorie stuff is in some sort of container, and the stuff that is low calorie and is not a trigger food for you, have that right in the field of vision. We want to make it easy for you to eat the low calorie snacks and the stuff that's not going to trigger you, and harder to get the stuff that is going to trigger you. Okay, so make sure you've got to make a little bit more of an effort for that. Make low man's land less accessible. So again, if you're going to have those foods in the house, so I sometimes have hobnobs in the house because I do like a few hobnobs, but I make sure they're up in a, well, high for me, I'm quite short, but high sort of cupboard. So if I need to get them, I have to sort of reach up to get them. And when I'm reaching up, there's actually something else in front of me, which is lower calorie, which I like. So I might pick that instead. Just make it a little bit harder for you to do the undesirable actions and easier for you to do the desirable actions. And have a list of the low impact snacks. So remember before we talked about those smaller ones, and I was allocating berries or Pringles or whatever else to those things, to those big snacks or small snacks. Have a list of that sort of stuff, either in your head or an actual physical list. So if you are, I'm only a little bit hungry, boy, what do I have if I'm only a little bit hungry? I might have a fruit pastel lolly. I might have a pack of Snacker Jacks. What if I'm a bit more hungry and I want a snack which is more, okay, I might have some Pringles and a beer, or I might have, let's say, a Cornetto. That's my stuff. You know, so it's higher calorie stuff. And see, like the Cornetto is an upgrade from the pastels because it's higher calorie. It's still an ice cream type thing. and the Pringles is an upgrade from the Snacker Jacks. It's still crisps, and things like Hobnobs, and that's an upgrade from Ginger Nuts. So if you've got a desire for biscuits or crisps or ice cream, make sure you have like 2 elements, a lower calorie option and a higher calorie option. It just means you can enjoy what you want to have, either the crisps or the fruit or whatever else. You can have that experience without having to say, well, I do want some crisps, but the only ones I've got high calorie. So you could have a lower calorie option if you wanted to. Just a suggestion. Okay, that's the end of the presentation. Before we get to Q&A, a few things you can do. So if you want to get more benefits, do something for yourself, here's the things you can do. First of all, you can go and subscribe to my YouTube and Instagram. YouTube is Tom Blackman. You might be watching this on YouTube. So if you are, make sure you subscribe. Or Instagram, you can go and follow me on Instagram, and I've got daily stuff that I post on there which will help you with snacking, dieting, training, all that sort of stuff. You could join my free Facebook group. You might even be on that Facebook group now if you've watched this Matt Live. But the free Facebook group has regular stuff, regular content, which I post there, which again is going to help you with your training, nutrition, habits, lifestyle, that sort of thing. And if you really want to do something positive about your body and you actually want to have a chat to me about doing that, feel free to drop me a message and we'll have a free 15-minute call to discuss if I can help you. Now, I'm good at what I do, but I can't help everybody. There's a certain type of people I work with, certain type of people who get good results. And if I can't help you, I'll refer you on to a colleague in the industry. But if I can, that's great. We can talk about that. But the 15-minute call is purely to establish if I can help you and potentially what the stuff we're going to do. It's not a sales call. There won't be any hard sell on that call. It's purely to establish if we can work together. Okay, that is the end of the video, and I'm going to do some question and answers now. So if you want to unmute your microphone if you have any questions, and we'll go into that now. On the YouTube, this is where the video ends. Join for the live one if you want to do the Q&As next time. Okay, thanks.